Hey, Matt.
Hey, bud.
How's it going?
Good. I'm sitting out my links here.
Gotcha. Ashley just had to run. We were in a meeting running late, and he was drinking coffee. And you know what that equals?
Pee break.
A trip down the hall.
Yeah, I need a second to send my invitations out anyway.
Okay. No worries. How are things down there?
Lovely.
Yeah. We got your weather up here in Chicago now, man. It's summertime in Chicago.
Yeah, it's nice now. It's been hot, but it's kind of moderating into the like low 90s and 80s. So I mean, it's just summertime, so nobody's complaining.
Excellent. Excellent. Um, well, I thought as long as we're waiting on Ash, I'd jump on here and make sure everybody knows to come check out our Tuesday show. We're actually getting pretty good at that Tuesday show, going over the futures market and some of the big picture economic events happening.
Yeah,
I know we see your comments in there all the time, of course.
it's got a lot of detail. I like those charts that Greg brings there. They're very informative.
Yeah, it's. I just remember when I was learning about futures markets, and you pick up little nuggets from everyone that you talk to. Um, some of his technical indicators, which we're teaching right now, uh, they're good. I mean, they all help you formulate your idea on what you want to do.
Yeah, and it's so lumber futures is not easy. I mean, when you start trying to analyze um, from a technical perspective, he was talking about Bollinger Bands and moving averages and Fibonacci retracements and trend lines and Elliott waves. I mean, there's so many different things you can do. I try to simplify mine and just look for like previous pivot highs and pivot lows and trend lines and wave counts or something like that. But still, it's still half a dozen things to look at, and then I listen to Greg, and it's not anything he's even messing with.
Oh, I know. Well, when I was back in my 20s at Block Lumber working with Ash, we took a technical analysis course, and of everything we learned, maybe I used 5% of it, but it was good to know about it. I think today it's an even better environment to learn technical analysis when you have stuff like barchart.com, which is a great
Yeah.
website. It's free.
They've been around for a long time too.
Yeah, they're just 2 buildings down from us here.
Are they?
But you can get on their charts and click around and put up a study, take it down. I highly recommend checking out barchart.com.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend that you do some studying before you try to even trade that thing.
Well, yeah.
You can get butchered just thinking that oh, that looks like a good place.
Well, and then you come back with the theories of trading, and you put your risk parameters in. And you know what your limits, and you want to know what your goal is in utilizing the market. Are you speculating, or are you hedging, or are you hedging?
Yeah. And I think the risk portion of it is the most difficult because you can do it from a technical perspective of looking like I know based on these places where I'm in, the market could continue to go against me to these places, but that's thousands of dollars beyond my personal pain threshold. So
and here's what I can tell you about beyond your personal pain threshold. If you hit your threshold, just get out.
And probably what you're going to find out is your pain threshold will go through your $10,000 a lot quicker than you think it will if that's all you're trading with.
That is true. I know.
I'm going to hope that we get the limits a little more back to normal. I really think that a lot of the volatility in the market has been caused by futures limits. When you get a market that can move $100 in a day, up 50, down 50, or up 60, down 60, $120 in a day, that's 12 grand worth of volatility. Who can play that game on one car of lumber just for speculating? It's unreasonable.
If they get the contract size moved down to the truckload, which it looks like they're doing, then it bites into that a little bit. But anyway, I see Ash is ready to go. There he is. Ash.
What's up, Matt?
Hello, Ash. Good morning. Afternoonish.
I'm going to jump out of the way, guys.
I think I got
Stick around.
I think I got my lights working correctly.
You stick around, Mike. We got a better. You're the better face.
Whoa, I like that.
Sorry, Ash.
I'm the younger.
It's all right. There we go.
Ash, I think your microphone might be coming through your computer, not your headset.
Hold on. Let me try something here.
Oh, look at Ash and I are twins today. I didn't even realize.
Kind of greenish.
This is baby blue.
Oh, is that what that is?
All right. Did that work? I think I tried firing up on the headset now. Did that help?
Sounds good to me.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Right,
I thought it was working. Let me just try one other thing here. Audio. Let's test it. It's let me just try Realtek. All right. Well, it's as good as it's going to get for now, and it's not coming through my headset. So I'll pull and I'll just talk into that. How's that? Is that better?
That's just as good.
All right, gents.
Matt, how's that?
It's good. Actually,
there we go.
We acted like we have technical difficulty. We're just stalling, waiting for more people to show up. That's all we're really doing.
I can hear you now. Yeah, we're stalling. Let me just pop into one thing here. So welcome to Lunch with Lumbermen, Matt Layman, Layman's Lumber Guide. Matt, and you're kind of excited because you've been working for months now on a new project. Why don't you tell us about it, and then we'll show a little bit what it is.
Well, I hope it doesn't become too much of a disruption, but it's called the Scouting Report. And I actually first introduced it on the show about a month ago and just kind of said we were going to looking for that became the name based on the show. But we've got about 20 different sources of their actual just lumber scouts out looking at the market, getting prices, market activity, that kind of thing. And it's a product that's going to be free for the lumber industry because my thought was, as I explained in that show back a few weeks ago, that you can get a price on anything in the world just by Googling it. In lumber, the only thing you can get a price on is futures, which is not necessarily a representative day-to-day activity of what's going on in the market. So we put together a free publication. It does not include, just so everybody knows, the current members that are on here, it does not include forecasting, but it does include current market conditions and current price estimates based on what we found from surveying literally thousands of lumber dealers and lumber suppliers. We're not actually touching that many people, but we're talking to people who are in contact with those people. And we've got I think Jory's going to put up a link for you guys to be able to sign up for that for free. And there's no gimmick. It's not a sales pitch. It's just kind of for me, after 40 years of being in the lumber business, I kind of feel like it's an opportunity to give back something. The industry's been really good to me, and I'm thankful for it. And I just wanted to do a little something to give back a little bit. So this is it.
So Matt, I know I've talked to you a little briefly. What are some of the key items that you're going to actually show on this market?
Actually, if Jory wants to put it up, you can show it if you want to, but it's going to be just the commodities, probably 5 primary items of the framing package, framing lumber. It's going to be 2x4 through 2x12, east side and west side Southern Pine, 2x4 through 2x12, Western Canadian SPF, 2x4, 2x6 Eastern Canadian SPF. We're going to do coastal dry hem fir to represent the Western U.S., 2x4 through 2x12. We're going to do green Doug fir as well, 2x4 through 2x12, and 7/16 and 23/32 OSB, doing southeast, southwest, and eastern Canada, western Canada. So it's going to be a good.
Are you looking for more scouts to report pricing and all?
Absolutely.
And how do they get back to you?
The best thing to do is just what I got to have a disclaimer first. If you're an inventory taker, inventory position holder in the market, and you're looking for a place to justify your inventory position, you're going to be disqualified. So we're looking for people they're going to be transparent, going to talk about when the market's weak, you talk about it being weak. We're going to be talking about basically trend and momentum. Just a small little paragraph just to update you with what's going on, so that you can know what to expect when you approach the market in the coming days when you're buying or selling. But anybody that there's the sign up page.
Yeah, there's so if I'm a buyer and I want to report on some 2x4 Southern Yellow Pine, I just bought down to over to BFE Alabama or BFE North Carolina, that I could give you that price, and that would be reflected back to what a mill price is, right?
No, if any reports that come in have to reflect mill prices, because I don't want to, we don't have the technology in place right now to figure out where you bought it from and all that kind of thing. That's just too laborious. So we're looking for contributors that have exposure to a lot of people. Brokers are good people to use, but I want to just stress for brokers, we're gonna screen you for position talking. So just be aware of that. So what our model is getting information from people who share the same buy side and sell side experiences, and looking for common themes among everybody, not just onesie twosie kinds of things. So we've got I'd say about 20 right now, and it's not like we have to have any more. We welcome the information, particularly if you're seeing things that are contrary to what the market conversations are, position talkers are. Like a good example, as you and I were talking a little while ago about shipment times. Trucks that were bought for 2-week shipments showed up 2 days later. Cars for 2-week shipments showed up with a car number the next day. Those are important things to know about logistics. So that's the kind of things we want to hear as well.
So Kelvin Johnson was saying, I'm interested in the report. More info, the better. And Chris Sneeden, I'm not sure what your comment is. You don't want to buy 2x4 Southern Yellow Pine and then SPF exclamation. I just may not understand what you're asking there. But so look at what this really shows is you're going to give some of the key items to people that support the product for free every week to look at it, which is great. And then are you going to build more items as this thing grows?
Probably not, because it's my belief that anybody that buys lumber knows what the price of the product to their yard is, their locations are better than I do. So all we're trying to do here is show general trend of the market. Like, for example, today you can see if on the report, you'll see that 2x4s and 2x6s were stronger, and 2x8s through 2x12s were still a little weaker. So it's that kind of information that we're looking for. But again, I want to reiterate that we're still guarding closely our forecasting, because that's our bread and butter. That's what pays the bills. But we do want to just update everybody that's just interested in the lumber market, just to see what's going on and current pricing mechanisms. This has been an industry that's kind of been monopolized for such a long time. We just feel like it's just some way that we can offer something to kind of level the playing field, or give people especially some smaller independent yards that just don't have access to a lot of things. But there's an example of the report. You can see the southern pine, the spruce, the hem fir, the green fir, and the OSB commentary. Just a little bit of commentary and the price change. You'll see the prices for the last 2 weeks and the current prices, and so you can see what the trend is, and you can see the current price changes. If they're negative, they're going to be in parentheses. They'll be red, and if they're green, not in parentheses, they're up, and obviously black zeros are unchanged. Just a quick reference, quick guide to give you something. It's going to come out on Wednesday mornings. That's actually the second page right there of the briefing, which won't be part of it, won't be included. Just the first page will be included. It'll show that it'll be called the scouting report is actually the first page of the briefing.
Okay,
So it's kind of the same thing.
So just going through the lumber market conditions, I think last week you had some multifamily covering some stuff. You had brokers and wholesale distributors covering some stuff. I could tell because, the inventory ran down, so people need to buy some stuff. It looks like they bought it. I don't see any conditions out there though that are going to really increase a big move in pricing right now, just from what I see, and I could be wrong, right? I mean,
Yeah, and if you read the comments under the market conditions, that's exactly what I was talking about. We talked last week about Southern Yellow Pine had speeded up to a slow trot, and that from there we've not accelerated any. We've just kind of maintained that slow trot. I think it's where the market is. There hasn't been a significant amount of follow through this week, which we didn't expect. This is a summer bump, which I expected to last 2 or 3 weeks, and I think this is probably we're probably a week or 10 days into that summer bump, but I really don't think it's going to last much longer than another couple of weeks. And I don't expect that the momentum of the price trajectory is going to increase and go higher. If anything, it's probably going to lose momentum as we go forward, and then we'll continue that downtrend into the next FDP in late August.
So let's talk real quick about what you and I talked about an hour ago. I always look at my social media on stocks, and there's all kinds of people that are calling a bottom to the stock market after it's sold off 20%, right? And
yeah,
maybe they're right, maybe they're not, but they sure weren't calling a top to the market 2 months ago, many of them, right?
Right.
Let's get into the lumber scenario here. Anybody that lives in the middle of the market between the mill side and the end use, they need the market to go like this to make money. And
right.
They go out and speculatively buy or sell short, and they need to sell at a higher price than they bought at, right? So they're smart, intuitive. They go out and buy what's undervalued or what's very inexpensive, hold it in the mill, put it on the ground, and then they've got to go out and make sure they sell it at more money to their customers. And then you rinse and repeat, and you do that over and over and over again, right? So we're in an interesting position now where I would say if you need lumber, buy it, right? I mean, but
yeah, and that's kind of the rule of thumb always. I mean, if you've got it sold and you've got money in it, don't dick around with it. Just buy it and complete the transaction. And like I remember the very first orders that I got when I was a lumber broker at Tampa International Forest Products. I was all proud of myself. I went and put up my $200 for my truck profit and was strutting like a big peacock back to my desk. And boss walked over and said, "What'd you get?" I said, "Sold a truck of pine." He said, "That's history. You got one, get another." And it's kind of like you can't latch on to where you are and think that's what you did was the last thing you got to do. You just take that order and go get another, because it's a cycle thing.
If you have lumber sold and you can buy it at what you think is an acceptable margin right now, and you can go to somebody who's buying 100 lot and they're going to get you in on it to buy, it makes sense to me, right?
Sure. But if you're thinking about just because lumber's fallen from $1,200 to $600, that's a good place for the market to bottom, and you just make up your mind that that's a good thing to do. That's not being smart. You're bottom picking without any confirmation that from a timing perspective the market doesn't bottom in the 4th of July. I mean, it usually bottoms in either August or October. There's nothing out there right now to make you think that the prices are going to be higher in 3 weeks or lower, much lower or higher, one or the other in the next couple of weeks. We're kind of in a choppy spot, but there's nothing to think the market's going to run away from you right now by buying early.
I would use the famous 3 words. I don't know, but what my gut is telling me, what I see is there's so much uncertainty, and our economics are changing on a daily basis in this country right now. I mean, I'm guessing with the higher interest rates and everything, when uncertainty happens and you start to slow a little bit from an all-time high, the desire to build an inventory like you built last fall is probably not there right now. The desire for wholesale distributors to give back what they just made in the first half of this year, they're not going to do that. And the way they don't do that is by taking crazy positions on long or short.
And if you think about it, there's a reason why prices are half of what they were 6 months ago. And it's not because business is super busy.
Yeah.
The demand in the field is lower and production is higher, and the combination of both of them, but the relationship between supply and demand is such that you don't need to be panicking like you were when you're trying to go to Home Depot and buy truckloads of lumber units at a time and willing to buy a 6-week shipment just to lock in the shipment date. This isn't 2021 again. This is back closer to what normal is like.
You know, when I was a kid in this market last year, I learned something from one of my mentors at the time, or a couple of them, right? And it was a good lesson coming from a small lumber yard and talking to people. Like, I was always surprised at how people reacted to large counters. I was afraid to do it at first, right? I had a boss say, go out and bid 100 under. I'm like, well, you can't do that. It's like, what do you mean you can't do that? You're giving them feedback, right? And it was amazing when it came. So what I'm telling all these small buyers, mid-sized buyers, large buyers that have the same relationships with people all the time, drive the bus yourself sometime, right? When somebody comes to you looking to move something, it's because they have it or they want to get something and they can use their influence to buy a large chunk of something. So my thought is always in this: bid about twice as much under what you think you want to buy at.
And this was proved to be true for the last 2 years. If it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why you got selected, just something special just for you and not showing it to anybody else. You got to look at the big picture and be aware all the time of what's going on in the market, where we are in the cycle of things. And it's too early to start looking for large speculative positions even for the fall, because you're not going to need the large speculative position that you did for the spring. So the next buy-in in late August is going to be better than it is right now for the summer bump, but it's not going to be the same as an October through November, December buy for next spring.
For sure. So, do you want to bring up the FDP and look at it real quick, Matt? Because
Sure.
I got to, if I think we can bring up the FDP.
Hey, Jory had it a minute ago.
Yeah.
It's on the second page of that document that had the briefing on it. It's on there.
There it is. There it goes. Cool. Let's look at
the next page down.
Next page down.
A little more.
Almost there.
Yeah, I've changed the format a little bit here to explain for members when the next FTP is coming, why it's coming, and what you should do about it. So it's a little more explanative or explanatory of what you should do with it. But we're coming up on that green area, the summer bump, and that period of time is typically the last week of June and the first week of July, and then it's over.
Why is that, Matt? Are there people usually getting stuff done before July 4th, or does that have nothing to do with it?
Yeah, it's because it's a very simple reason. July is the largest month for vacations in the year, so there's more buyers out of the office in July than any month of the year, and most places don't have substitute buyers, so the buyer has to take care of his needs to make sure he's covered through 30 days, at least while he's gone. And those vacations don't happen just the first week of July. They're spread out, so it's kind of a choppy time all through the month. But typically that buying will start the last week of June and culminate before the 4th of July. So between now and usually the 20th of June and the end of June, the last 10 days when we see that bump up in prices. and mills may try to hang on to that for a little bit through the week of the 4th of July because their staffing is light. But a lot of mills take summer downtime for maintenance that week, so there's not a lot of production to sell, so it's kind of a wash week. The second week of July, when everybody gets back from vacation, we start to resume the normalcy of the slowness of the summer, and the market will tend to drift off from the middle of July till the end of August.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So basically, wow, it looks like it's a little early. It was a little early, but that little bump we've had the last few weeks isn't a big surprise. I mean, people were running their inventories down, and they continue to run their inventories down. But with one thing said is, people's inventory is still moving. It's pretty fluid, right? It's still chugging along. We're moving stuff. It seems like all parts of the sector are still moving stuff from single family to multifamily to industrial. Things are keep moving along.
That's think about that. Those are orders that were booked 2 months ago. The thing to look ahead, I want to know, like, okay, what are your sales today are good, you're shipping good, but what are you quoting for 60 days and 90 days out? Not even what you have sold, but what does the new inquiry look like? And that inquiry level is certainly less than it was 2 months ago.
So Ken Pinto is asking, what is a healthy number of inventory turns in peak season and during the downturn? Well, I mean, I guess it depends if you're a wholesaler or retailer who you're asking here. I mean, as a wholesale distributor, I tried to get 12 to 15 turns on the ground of my key items, right?
Well, I think it depends on the duration. That's a good question, Ken, because from the period of October through March, ideally you want one turn. And you want to be able to sit through that entire market appreciation time, but from March or May through August, first week of September, you may want to turn your inventory every 3 to 4 weeks. The difficulty is making sure you don't run out of things. So it's whatever your level of minimum inventory that you can handle to still continue to service your customers is the maximum number of turns that you'll have, because you may have things that, if you're doing like long length green Doug fir, for example, that took you a little longer to get. If you're looking for 8 to 16 2x4s through anything, 2x4s through 2x12s in anything, you can probably have more inventory turns because there's more of that available in everything.
Yeah, man, I always used to have, now I'm just talking wholesale distribution. I used to have A, B, and C items. My A items, I'd make 3 to 5% turn them 12 to 15 times. B was a little more. C items, I may only turn 2 or 3 times a year, but I wanted to make 40% on them, right?
Right.
Or 30%, right?
Yep.
So Chad Epperson went from 3-week inventory last 2 months to 4 to 5 weeks now, but not building a large inventory. I asked people if they're building a large inventory, so that's great.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Chad's position for the summer bump, for the market to rise for a little bit. It'll carry him through the end of August, and he'll be ready to buy again middle or late August. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's Chad. Great freaking feedback. And I'm guessing that was maybe a little bit different than last year.
Probably last year everybody was chasing it. I would think you didn't have the opportunity to do it like this.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the whole point for us to appreciate like we did before, you need people willing to take a big risk position in larger inventory. And right now, I don't see that happening.
That just confirms to us that the desire isn't there because the need isn't there. The inquiry and the expectation for what's going to happen, like what it's telling us is the fall is going to be a disappointment compared to what it's going to be. Just like summer was a disappointment. It's going to be less than a fall year.
Chad just put back very different than last year. And I mean, intuitively, we kind of know that, but unless boots on the ground like Chad tell us that's a great reason why we have this show and talk about this. Just that helps us understand that. And, hey, these treaters like Chad, they got a tough job managing that position because they got to make have the right inventory, and make all their users happy. I mean, that's a full-time job, right?
Yeah, and when you're getting down to 3 weeks worth of inventory in your treating plant, you got to go out to the yard. You start to see some bare spots. So that's really, I think the biggest point of feedback that I've gotten over the last several weeks is how difficult it is to manage your inventory in a falling market, because if you get a longer turn, you're talking about 6 weeks worth of time for inventory. You saw what happened over 6 weeks in the price, and you get crucified. So you got to be able to manage from a leaner position to limit losses.
What does Greg Riley always say? Any amount of inventory in a down market's too much inventory.
Right.
And look, we're still dealing with probably liquidating some 4-digit numbers on some stuff right now, because it takes a long time to move some things and average down, right? Which I fully appreciate and don't appreciate enough. Don't say that enough sometimes. So I know
it's those C and D items you're talking about in your inventory that you're just still stuck with.
That's exactly it. Exactly at the harder to move items that you have to have, but they're not always going all the time, right? And no doubt about that. Well, Matt, so in order for people to sign up for your new free market data, they would go to Layman's, or let's put up, where would they go to?
Two easy ways to do it. Just go to laymansguide.com, and there is a tab for the scouting report, and that'll take you to the registration, or you can type in your search bar laymansguide.com/scouting report. But either way, just laymansguide.com, and then look for the tab for scouting report, and that's all it's going to ask us for. And I'll tell you why we're asking for this. I want to know who you are, where your email is, just so we can send to you. But I really want to see the company and where you are, because I want to see who's interested in what types of businesses and what part of the country. That's just the internal demographic thing for us.
Yeah, and if you want to come to mxlumber.com, we're the only digital marketplace. And Matt, I've got some ideas we could talk later about. We could back out some freights for you and show you what things are FOB mill, to give you some real-time data also, which we've talked about.
Good. Don't be afraid. I mean, if you're involved in the lumber business from some perspective, if you're an investment banker or whatever, don't feel like you can only participate if you actually handle lumber. But if you just have an interest in what's going on in the lumber market, you want to be able to talk about it to your barber, it's available. This is for you, so feel free to help yourself.
Well, shit, if I talk about it with my barber, I'll be talking about it every few days, Matt.
You may get him to get on the platform and do some day trading.
Yeah, there you go. He can look at some Fibonacci numbers and use his GAN fan.
Yeah.
or the Elliott wave.
The Elliott wave or the GAN fan.
All right, well, everybody, thanks for coming to Lunch with Lumbermen with Matt Layman from Layman's Lumber Guide, Ashley Boeckholt, mxlumber.com, the only digital B2B exchange. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Crash. You have a great day, everybody.